بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of Ṣabr, page 120 from volume 7 of Mahajjatul Bayda, 120, and we have two classifications for Ṣabr. Then inshallah we start a new chapter. One is what some Urafa, he says, قَالَ بَعْضُ الْعَارِفِينَ, some mystics have said. They said people who have Ṣabr, patience, are in three positions. أهل الصبر على ثلاث مقامات. They have three positions. One is, which is the lowest, ترك الشكوى. You don't complain. If you have tragedies, if you have difficulties, if you have illness, or for example, performing your obligations has difficulties, you don't complain. هذه درجة التائبين. This is the rank of the people who repent. So, Tawbah is a very important position, but it is the first position. Because before Tawbah means you are sinning. So, this is the lowest, that at least you don't complain. But the second rank, which is higher, is الرضا بالمقدور. You are pleased with what is possible. Salam. So not only you don't complain, but you are pleased. Okay? هذه درجة الزاهدين. This is the rank of the ascetics, the people who have managed to detach themselves from dunya, have no attachment to dunya. So when they don't see dunya, they don't complain, and they are pleased with it. The third, which is the highest according to this classification, المحبة لما يصنع به مولاه. He loves what his Mawla and Master does with him. He knows that his Master wants good for him. If his Master gives him food or doesn't give him food, he knows this is the best thing for him. Gives him money or doesn't give him money. Makes things easy or difficult. It's all based on maslahah. So he loves. وَهَذِهِ دَرَجَةُ الصِّدِّيقِينَ. So the first was for ta'ibin, those who repent, the repentant. The second was for zahidin, those who are ascetics. The third is the most truthful people, siddiqin. Then he says, in the book on mahabba, on love, we have said that love is higher than rida. Because in rida you are pleased. But in the level of mahabba you love. Because when you are pleased, it still doesn't know whether you are pleased happily or you are just pleased. Yeah? Okay, this is one classification. There is another classification with respect to hukm, ruling, salam alaikum, of Ṣabr. You know, we have 5 types of Aḥkām Taklīfī. In Usul al-Fiqh, we say hukm is either Taklīfī or Waz'i. Aḥkām Taklīfī are 5. Wujub, Karaha, Ibaha, Istihbab. Sorry, Wujub, Istihbab, Ibaha, Karaha, Haram. Hurma. Yeah, we have 5. 4 of them come here. We have Ṣabr, which is Wājib. We have Ṣabr, which is Mustaḥab. We have Ṣabr, which is Makrūh. We have Ṣabr, which is Ḥarām. There's no Mubah. Actually, sometimes I have said in courses on spirituality that although in fiqh we may have Mubah, but in Akhlaq it seems there is no Mubah. Because if you are not gaining anything, so you are losing. So either you gain or you lose. There is no middle position. Yeah? So in Akhlaq and spirituality, there seems to be no neutral. Either it brings light or darkness. So, the Ṣabr, which is Wājib, As-Ṣabru anil Maḥdūrāt, those things which are prohibited, and you try to be patient so that you don't do them. Please remember this, maybe already it's clear, but just as a reminder. When you say patience with respect to what you have to do, we say ala. As-sabru ala ta'ah. As-sabru ala al-musibah. When it is with respect to something that you have to refrain from, we say as-sabru anil ma'siyah. Okay? So you know, ala, as-sabru, ala is something that you have to be patient, either to bring it or cope with it. Ta'ah, you bring it. Musibah, you have to cope with it. An means you have to avoid it, prevent. As-sabru anil ma'siyah. Okay? If you know how to use huruf al-idhafa prepositions in Arabic, maybe you know 50% of Arabic. Because the huruf al-idhafa are very important and make lots of differences in meaning. So, as-sabru anil mahdhurat, to be patient, not to do what is prohibited. Mahdhurat with wa means something which is mamnu'. Okay? So, for example, not to do ghaibah. Ṣabr with respect to refraining from ghaibah is wajib. Yeah? So anything which is haram, to be patient by not doing it becomes wajib. وَعَلَى الْمَكَارِهِ naflun, sabr, with respect to those things which is makruh, something which is not haram, it's makruh, but still you want to do it. Okay? So, if you don't do it, then it's mustaḥab. You cannot say it's wājib not to do makruh. Yeah? For example, in the night, it's better to drink water when you are sitting, not when you are standing. But it's not wajib to be patient with respect to this, Then we go to the sabr which is not good. So this was wajib and mustaḥab. As-sabru ala al-adha al-mahdhur mahdhur. To be patient with respect to someone who is hurting you, and he should not do this to you. Okay? For example, someone is cutting your hand or hand of your child, and you see that and you can stop him, you don't do anything. Say, I want to be patient. This is haram. This patience is haram. كَمَنْ تُقْطَعُ يَدُهُ أَوْ يَدُ وَلَدِهِ وَهُوَ يَصْبِرُ عَلَيْهِ سَاكِتًا. He's silent and patient. This patience is not good. It's not positive. Okay? You have to protect your child, yourself. وَكَمَنْ يُقْصَدُ حَرِيمُهُ بِشَهْوَةٍ مَحْظُورَةٍ فَتَهِيجُ غِيرَتُهُ فَيَصْبِرُ عَنْ إِظْهَارِ الْغِيرَةِ وَيَسْكُتُ عَلَى مَا يَجْرِي عَلَى أَهْلِهِ. Your wife, your sister, your daughter, someone is looking at her with bad intention, or causing problem for her, and you don't react. You say, I want to be patient. You don't show ghira. This is also not acceptable. As-Ṣabr al-Makrūh. Ṣabr, which is not haram, but it is also disliked. As-Ṣabr ala adhan yanaluhu bijahatin makruhatin fi ash-shar'a. You do something which is makruh, and people then keep blaming you. It's not haram, but you should stop this, not be patient with the hurting and blaming. Okay? So you do something makruh, and because of that you are annoyed. Instead of stopping makruh, you say, I want to be patient. I don't bother what people say about me. So this sabr is makruh. You have to stop that makruh so that you are not blamed by people. So he says the measure for sabr is shar'. If according to shar' something is wājib, then patience for that is wājib. If according to shar' something is mustaḥab, the patience is mustaḥab. If something is haram, then that patience becomes haram. You have to avoid it. So don't think that all types of sabr is good. Okay? You have to be very much careful about whether that is something positive, that sabr helps you doing good things, help you remaining persistent, or that sabr is a matter of being indifferent. This is not a real sabr. It's not a good sabr that you are indifferent. You say, I don't study and I fail, I will be patient. Please don't be patient. This is it's better to be impatient. If you haven't studied and you failed, it's better to be impatient. It's better to cry. Yeah? Okay. Now, we move on to the next chapter. This is page 121. بيان مظان الحاجة إلى الصبر. We have maybe only 2-3 chapters to finish Kitab al-Ṣabr. I hope you don't run out of patience. So, where we have to be patient? Madhan. Madhan means those places and occasions in which something is expected. For example, ulama sometimes say, please pray for me in madhan istijabat dua. Means when there is a likelihood that dua would be answered. Okay? Ulama say this. And but I sometimes as a talaba say to people, remember me anytime. because maybe when you think it's not the time that your dua is answered, that's actually the time that your dua would be accepted. So, we are talking about when we need sabr, but he is very clever. He says, when I say when we need sabr, don't think there are times that we don't need sabr. أن العبد لا يستغنى عنه في حال من الأحوال. There is no time that we don't need sabr. So when we say when you need sabr, means extra reasons for sabr. Otherwise, there is no time that you don't need sabr. Either for this reason or another reason, you need sabr. Madhan means when something is more likely to happen. From dhan. Madhanna, madhan. He says, everything that we face in our life is either what we like or we don't like. اعلم أن جميع ما يلقى العبد في هذه الحياة. Everything that you meet, يلقى, you meet means you face in your life, is not except one of these two. الذي يوافق هوى. It's something that is according to your desire. Yeah, something that is desirable for you. والآخر هو الذي لا يوافقه بل يكرهه. Something that you don't like. Maybe you think the second is when we need sabr. When there is something that we don't like, we have to be patient. But the reality is that in both cases you need sabr. Whether something is desirable or not desirable, you have to be patient. Okay? He says, هو محتاج إلى الصبر في كل واحد منهما. In both conditions, the servant abd needs patience, and there is no one who doesn't need sabr. Now, let's see the first one. What does it mean that we need sabr when something is desirable? For example, if there is delicious food here, you have to be patient. What does it mean? To make sure, first of all, this is halal. Maybe it is delicious, but it's for someone else. Or it's haram ingredient. Secondly, is it good for your health or not? Thirdly, how much you are going to eat? What time are you going to eat? Now it's the time for a study. There is delicious food. You have to be patient. Finish your study and then go for food. Okay? So even when something is desirable, you have to be patient. Actually, sometimes here patience is more difficult. When something attractive, interesting, good is available, not to go after it, sometimes more difficult. He quotes from some companions of the Prophet, some ashab. They said, there was a time that we were tested by difficulties, by not having dunya, and we managed to remain patient. Then a time came that dunya came and money came and position came. We were not able to be patient. Yes. No, he says more than one. Yes, very interesting. So, the first, النوع الأول, the first type, ما يوافق الهوى, what is desirable, والصحة, when you are healthy, salama, safe, you have money, mal, jah, position, kathrat al-ashira. For example, some people, because they have big family, Then they become careless. He says, with such a big family that I have, who can, cause any problem for me? I can, do whatever I like. My family or tribe, will protect me. وَاتِّسَاعِ الْأَسْبَابِ. You have lots of means and, things that you need. وَكَثْرَةِ الْأَتْبَاعِ وَالْأَنصَارِ. You have lots of followers. When you have lots of followers, you have to be very careful. Because you may think that now, because I have followers, I can do everything. You become arrogant. وَجَمِيعَ مَلَاذِ الدُّنْيَا. All the pleasures of dunya. We have to be patient. وَمَا أَحْوَجَ الْعَبْدَ إِلَى الصَّبْرِ عَلَى هَذِهِ الْأُمُورِ. This is صيغة تعجب. Knowing sarf and naf. ما أحوج صيغة تعجب. Means how needy is Abd, the servant of God, for sabr in these cases. He says, if you don't control yourself and go after these things, even if they are mubah, if you go after them, it would lead to al-batar wa-tughyan. Then you would become a person who is just after excessive pleasure and you become inordinate. إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَتْقَى أَنْ رَآهُ اسْتَغْنَى. Yes.
What if all the pleasures that they have are within the Islamic boundaries?
Even if it is mubah. Even if it is mubah and halal, but you have to observe a measure. Not go after all of it.
For example, we have narrations about bringing surur and happiness in the hearts of believers.
Yes.
That could also be interpreted in the dunya means of going out with friends and maybe doing something that they appreciate, bring some fruits or something that they like, and you sit and talk.
It's good. But it has to be balanced. So it's not that you do this all the time and waste your time and their time because you just want to keep them happy. For example, we are a group of people in the dorms. And we just spend our time on going out, playing, laughing. Okay, we make ourselves happy, but what we are achieving? So there is a measure. For everything there is a measure.
Just one last thing, some see happiness as an achievement.
Yes.
A state that needs to be achieved.
Yes.
Given the circumstances that we have around the world, sometimes it's even hard to achieve happiness.
Yes.
So, could somebody argue that happiness is needed to an extent?
Yes. Happiness, again, if it is balanced happiness, is good. If it is deep happiness, is good. Like, for example, happiness after completing your study. This is a good happiness. Happiness after doing your mubahasa. After coming to the class regularly. This happiness is good. But happiness that you didn't go to class and you went to the park. This happiness is poison. So what's the reason for happiness? And is it something that your intellect says this is good? Or this is just because we have satisfied some of our, desires, lower desires. So we actually need happiness, yes. We need happiness, but from what sources and how deep? Like energy. We need energy, but this energy can come from haram food and halal food. Or you can just, eat something that, gives you energy. Some people take things which just give them energy, but then is making a problem in your body. So I agree that we need happiness, but where this happiness comes, how deep it is, how endurable it is, what is the source of happiness? Okay.
There was a person who raised this issue to me.
Yes.
The rights of the family considering the friends compared to the right of friends.
Yes.
Can you please try and see which is the best balance for this?
So family have more rights than friends in general. But again, balance is important. You don't forget your friends altogether. And you don't also forget your family and just spend time with the friends. So sometimes some people, they enjoy being with friends than being family. Some people totally ignore friends. So you have to have balance. A mu'min has clear policy for everything. He knows how much to spend with friends, how much to spend with community, how much to spend with family, how much to spend on his personal progress. Everything has to be in balance. He says, قال بعض العارفين. One of the Arifin said, I don't know which of you said this, but he says, البلاء يصبر عليه المؤمن والعوافي لا يصبر عليها إلا صديق. One of Urafa said this. Bala is something that mu'minin can be patient with. But when there is afiyah, only Siddiqeen can be patient. When you have no problem in your life and you remain humble and pious, that needs to be Siddiq. It's very difficult. We normally think opposite. We think if everything is all right, I would be a good person. But when everything is going well, we lose, unfortunately, our humbleness. We lose our reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لما فتحت أموال الدنيا على الصحابة. When the money and treasures of dunya were opened for the companions of the Prophet, قالوا ابتلينا بفتنة الضراء. You know, ضراء and sarra. ضراء means difficulty and hardship. Sarra means, ease and comfort. So, some companions of the Prophet said, Obtulina, we were tested بفتنة الضراء, with the test of difficulties, فصبرنا, and we were patient. When there were tortures for Muslims, in Mecca, they have to go to exile, there were battles, lots of difficulties, they were patient. But when money came, power came, Islamic territory expanded, then it was difficult to be patient and obedient. وَابْتُلِينَا بِفِتْنَةِ السَّرَّاءِ فَلَمْ نَصْبِرْ. Then after that we were tested with the test of ease, and we were not patient. And he says this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns us about being tested by money, by a spouse and children. Not because money and children and family are bad. These are good things. But these good things are also tests. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله. Tulhi is from lahw. Allah yulhi means to make someone preoccupied with something and he forgets. لا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله. Do not let your money or children preoccupy your mind and make you forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. can happen sometimes. We spend too much time and energy on our money or children, we forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or إِنَّ مِنْ أَزْوَاجِكُمْ وَأَوْلَادِكُمْ عَدُوًّا لَكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوهُمْ. Some of your spouses or children are your enemy. Avoid them. They are your enemies for two reasons. Sometimes they are your enemies because they want to take you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like, for example, perhaps one example can be like the son of Zubayr, who took him away from the path. Sometimes a child can have bad influence on the parents, or money can have bad influence. Sometimes maybe there is no problem in the child or money, but the way we approach them makes them against us. Okay? So sometimes something is in itself not bad, but you turn it into your enemy because your approach makes it harmful for you. Enemy is something that harms you. Okay? So we can mix our family, our children, our money, our position, our fame against us. He mentions then something from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that I am not sure how authentic is this. It is in Sunan al-Nasa'i, but I am not sure. He says, once Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was on Mimbar, and then he saw Imam Hussein as a little child, maybe had a long shirt, dress, so he was walking but falling down. And then Rasulullah came down from Mimbar because could not see Imam Ali falling. And here says, Rasulullah said, Sadaqallah, innama amwalukum wa awladukum fitna, inni lamma ra'aytu ibni yata'athar, lam amlik nafsi, and akhadtu. That when I saw my son is falling, I could not control myself, and I went to take him. I don't think this is said in this way. The story can be true, that Rasulullah went to take Imam Hussein alayhi salam, but not that Rasulullah did something wrong. Pardon? Yeah, so he's quoting from Nasa'i and also other people.
Who is the author of Nasa'i?
Pardon?
Who is the author of Nasa'i?
Famous, one of the Sahahis. Nasa'i is a muhaddis who compiled this book. In any case, pardon? Yeah, the story seems to be okay, that he loved Imam Hussein, that one. But to say that it's a case of fitna and, it doesn't seem okay. So, the idea is that your approach to your children, to your money, have to be very balanced. So, he says, Ar-Rajul, Kullu Rajul. Today, in front of feminists, we cannot, say these words. In the past, they used to say, a real man is the one who is patient with afia. Now, feminists say, you are insulting women, but we are not insulting anyone. A real woman also. a real human being is the one who is patient when afiyah is there, not when musibah is there. Afiyah is very difficult. What is the meaning of as-sabru ala al-afiyah? Allah yarkana ilayha. First, don't depend on afiyah. Rukun la tarkanu ila alladhina zalamu. Means you should not in your heart have inclination. So you should not depend on afiyah. Don't take it for granted and say, okay, alhamdulillah, I have this much money. Until end of my life, I have enough. I don't need God. I don't need dua. No. وَيَعْلَمْ, and he must know, أَنَّ كُلَّ ذَلِكَ مُسْتَوْدَعٌ عِنْدَهُ. Whatever you have is a deposit. It's not yours. It's deposited and you have to look after it. وَعَسَى أَنْ يُسْتَرْجَعَ عَلَى الْغُرْبِ. Maybe Allah is going to take it back soon. Don't think, okay, it's deposit, but I will give it when I die. No. Maybe very soon it will be taken from you. Yeah? وَأَلَّا يُرْسِلَ نَفْسَهُ فِي الْفَرَحِ بِهَا. Irsal, we had a few days ago in one of the classes, I said in Arabic, irsal, one of the meaning of irsal is to let be free, like irsalul lihya. Irsalul lihya doesn't mean to send your beard to someone. Irsalul lihya means you let your beard to grow. Irsalul sha'r means you let your hair grow. Okay? Allah yursila nafsahu fil farah biha means he don't let himself be free and indulge himself in enjoying these afiyat and these, good things. And would not go, it would not yanhamek, would not, immerse in enjoying and pleasure and this type of things. And yar'a huquq Allah fi malihi, observe the rights of Allah in his money. Bil infaq, has to do charity, pay charities, zakat, khums, and sadaqat. And his body, he has to use it lil khalq, for people. Wa fi lisanihi bi bazl as-sidq, you have to use your time for saying the truth. And at the end he says, haza sabr muttasilun bi shukr. This patience is connected with shukr, because all these good things, you have to be grateful for them. And if you use them properly, it's shukr amali, it's practical shukr, then you are patient. The one who is shakir is also patient. Okay? Allahumma inni as'aluka sabra shakirina lak. Patience of those who are grateful. Then he says, إنما كان الصبر على السراء أشد. Patience for ease is difficult, more difficult, because you have power. He says, sometimes when you don't have power, it's easier. For example, if you are hungry and you don't have food, and if you are hungry and you have delicious food, which one is more difficult to be patient? When you don't have food, what can you do? Pardon? You don't complain. Still, you have to be patient not to, for example, steal food or whatever. In months of Ramadan, for example, when you know that you cannot eat, it's easier. But other days, when you know you can eat, it's very difficult. So if you don't have power and you don't think that, I can eat or, I should eat, it's easier. he mentions this example. He says, Al-jaw inda ghaybat al-ta'am أقدر على الصبر من إذا حضرته الأطعمة الطيبة اللذيذة. When there are delicious food, to be patient, not to eat. And when there is no food, to be patient. This is easier. Yeah? Another thing is, he says, suppose you want to do hijama. Hijama, you know hijama. So they cut some places on the skin and they take some blood. He says, it is more difficult if you do hijama on yourself than someone else. Because when someone else is cutting, you cannot do anything. But when you can and you want to be patient, it's more difficult. Or if you want to, for example, have injection. If you want to have injection yourself, it's more difficult. Because you can and you can also stop. If someone else is doing this, you cannot stop. So, to be patient when something is available, sometimes is more difficult than when it is not available. We go to the second part. When it is disliked, ما لا يوافق الهوى والطبع. Something is against your nature, against your desire. It's disliked and you have to be patient. This is sometimes something that has no relation to your free will. You have no role in deciding. For example, ta'at and ma'asi. Musibat. If it has no relation with you, musiba. Musiba, you didn't have any say here. It's not that you decided to go through musiba. But sometimes you have a say, your free will, and that is ta'at and ma'asi. To do ta'ah or to avoid ma'asiyah needs your free will. Okay? So sometimes we need your free will. Sometimes, even without your decision, it happens. Sometimes there's a third condition. In the beginning, it was not your choice. But then you have a say. Like what? Someone annoyed you, and of course you didn't want to be annoyed. But after that, you have a role to do revenge and retaliation. So either you have no role at all, or you have complete role, or in the beginning you had no role, but in the continuity you have role. We start with those things that you have role. Anything which is a matter of obedience or disobedience, this is in this part. You can decide to do them or not to do them. He says, As-Ṣabr ala ta'ah shadīdun. You need to be patient with respect to your taklif. Most of the time, taklif is difficult. You know, the reason they call it taklif, because it comes from kulfa. Kulfa means difficulty, mashaqqa. Yeah? So to do wajibat needs patience. Unless you reach a level of understanding that you enjoy doing wajibat. Yeah? Those who enjoy doing wajibat, then for them not doing is difficult. Like for Rasulullah, salat was not a burden. Yeah? And he was becoming hungry or thirsty for salat. As he says, you know, with respect to salat, I am like you when you are hungry and thirsty for food and water. But for most of people, these are difficult things. So, As-Ṣabr ala ta'ati shadīdun. This is a, great patience is needed to do wajibat. Why? He says, لأن النفس بطبعها, the nature, or you can say the first nature, the first tendency of our nafs is what? Is to be free from responsibility. It says تنفر عن العبودية وتشتهي الربوبية. We want to be free. We want to be in charge. We don't want someone says, you should do this, you shouldn't do this. You see, sometimes children, teenagers, they just do what you are telling them not to do. If you say go this way, they go that way. If you say go this way, they go that way. They just want to do the opposite. Of course, there is a hikmah why teenagers are like this. Because that's the time that they have to learn to become independent, to become adult. But unfortunately, if they don't do it in a nice way, they become rebellious. They have to do it nicely and wisely, okay? So that they get rid of pressure, they have control over decisions. But if they do it just by doing opposite to what adults say or parents say, that's wrong. So, human soul, nafs, wants to be Rab, in charge, not be servant. It's not fitra, this is tabi'ah. Yeah, it's not fitra. وَلِذَلِكَ قَالَ بَعْضُ الْعَارِفِينَ. One of the urafa said this. مَا مِن نَفْسٍ. This Arif said, there is no nafs except is hiding what Pharaoh had. هِيَ مُذْمِرَةٌ. مُذْمِرَة means to hide. مَا أَظْهَرَهُ Pharaoh. Pharaoh disclosed it, expressed it. But don't think Pharaoh was exception. Each of us can be Pharaoh. The thing is that just we don't have the means to become like Pharaoh. You know the story of Rumi. It's beautiful, the story. He says a person was in winter going home and found on the ground a snake which was like a wood, dead. So took this snake home. Went home, then the room was warm. This snake, which was almost half frozen, became again active and started attacking. So Rumi says, nafs chun اژدهاست کی مرده است. He says human soul is like a dragon. It's not dead. از غم بی‌آلتی افسرده است. Because there are no means, is now silent. Sometimes this, for example, nice boy or nice girl that you see, oh, mashallah, is very polite, they can be a good dictator. Sometimes people who are in prison fighting for liberty and freedom, when they come to power, they become very good dictators. Because our nafs needs all the time discipline and patience. You cannot think you are different from Pharaoh. Why Allah mentions the example of Pharaoh to us? Why Pharaoh can become a lesson for us? Because we also may go to the same path. If we were not like Pharaoh potentially, there was no point in mentioning his story to us. Normally we think, no, we can never be like Pharaoh. But the fact that Allah mentions the story of Pharaoh and Nimrud to us is saying that you can also become like them. And also he mentions a story of Ibrahim and Musa and Isa because you can also follow them. So Both are possible. So this Arif said, there is no nafs unless it's hiding what Pharaoh expressed when he said, Ana rabbukumul a'la. I am your highest Lord. لكن فرعون وجد له مجالا وقبولا. Pharaoh found that he can say this and some people would accept. You know, when there are people around you that believe in whatever you say, that's the time that what is hidden comes out. فَأَظْهَرَهُ إِذْ اسْتَخَفَّ قَوْمَهُ فَأَطَاعُوهُ. Because he had humiliated his people, then they became obedient. You know, some people who form a cult or, dictatorship, how they do this? They keep humiliating the people who are around them, so that then little by little they think they cannot understand anything, and there is only one person who should think, and that's the head of that cult or group. So Pharaoh استخف قومه فأطاعوه. And then he says, ما من أحد إلا وهو يدعي ذلك. There is no one unless he does the same claim, but with whom? With those who are under him. ما عبده. If you have a servant, you do that. Or أتباعه, if he has followers. وكل من هو تحت قهره وطاعته. Whoever is under his control. Even if he may not say it. وإن كان ممتنعا من إظهاره. Normally, we don't speak like Pharaoh, because we are worried about what people would say about us. We don't have that power that Pharaoh had. When someone has that much of power and influence and doesn't bother about what people say, what media says, we have someone like that today in the world. So they can say everything. But when you are worried that, okay, if I say this, what people judge about me, what, people report about me, what media says about me, then you just don't say that. So he says, وَإِن كَانَ مُمْتَنَعًا مِنْ إِظْهَارِهِ. Although he was, maybe this person is not saying this, but he has this with his servants and people who are under him. And he makes a very beautiful point here, and this is my last point. And I found this interesting because I was myself thinking in the same line, but I had not come to conclusion. Then I thought he's saying something similar. Sometimes in family, in work, in community, people don't listen to you. Okay? Even if you have position. Someone who is working for you, or someone, for example, is younger than you, your child, or in community you are a leader, for example, people don't listen to you. Then, of course, you don't feel happy. And there can be good reason you are not happy because, for example, you have some plan for the family or community or that organization. You have concerns, you have policy, everything. So you are worried that we are not going to reach our aims. So you would not be happy if people don't cooperate, don't listen. Okay, this much is good. But how much you become unhappy? And why you become sometimes very, very upset? Are you just unhappy because our goals are not going to be achieved? Or you are more unhappy because you are ignored? I think most of the time we are more unhappy because we are ignored, or because the things don't go in the way that we want. If I am in charge of this organization or in charge of this community, I don't want anyone to dare, disobey me. But then I may even hide it from myself and say, no, I am worried about the interest of the community or interest of organization. But sometimes it is a deception. Or for example, there is an employee. Sometimes I see that employee is causing too much problem for me. Okay? But still organization is going well. So I say I should get rid of him because he's not listening to me. He's not obedient to me. He doesn't love me. But is it really for organization, for interest, or it is personal? Or for example, your children. If your children are good but not listening to you, how much you should be hurt? So this is a very delicate issue. We have to think about this. Many times our anger and our, sadness are for this ego not being satisfied. I want people around me to obey me 100%, not to dare disobeying me. This can be sometimes the reason. So we have to be very careful. So this point is also mentioned here. I don't want to take more time. Inshallah, we can continue next week. But please think about this.
Yeah, but some people, I think it's all regarding to the education. I remember I read a book by Abdurrahman al-Kawakibi, طبائع الاستبداد.
Yeah.
ومصارع الاستعباد وأم القرى. Similar.
Yeah.
So he talks about how the people, our society, what they call it, الاستبداد. It is from the night.
Yeah.
So this is the grow inside us, from our family. It is that hierarchy. It's from the government and to the work, to the college, to the home. You find the bigger, like your brother, when we say. The father on the big son, the big son on the child, the mother on the mother to the children. And this kind of, we call it المجتمع الأبوي أو الاستبداد يعني يكون
Yeah, but we have to be careful about this because sometimes people too much question the role of parents, and that also creates problem. So at the same time that parents should check themselves how much they are concerned really for the children and how much they are concerned about their own position. But children also should have maximum respect for parents. So we have to work on both sides. The problem is when I think about what children should do and children think what parents should do. This goes nowhere.
But it is education. It started from if the children grow up to listen to the parents. Parents should educate them how to obey them. So how we now?
Yeah, but unfortunately, sometimes we limit the authority of parents too much. In modern culture, parents are unfortunately very limited in their authority. And this is not useful for children. Alhamdulillah.